In today's video, I'm going to tell you 9 things about why you might want to move to Salt Lake City. And I'll even share with you something about why maybe you wouldn't want to move. And I'm getting after it right now. So number 1 on my list would be the weather here in Utah. So we have 4 seasons, and we have a true winter where we actually have snow and actually have snow days typically for kids at school. It doesn't snow enough where it bothers you, but you can go right up to the mountains and get after the skiing and snowboarding and snowmobiling and all of that cool stuff you can do just 40 minutes away. So while you may get a foot of snow or something on your driveway, pretty much every subdivision that you're looking at moving to will have some sort of snow removal included. So you'll wake up, and unless you leave super early, you'll have your driveway plowed, and then you'll be responsible for your steps. So make sure you buy some salt for that. And otherwise, that works out really, really well as far as the winter time. Then we have a spring, where after you've been stuck in winter for 4 months and you're tired of having it be cold and snowy, then it's really nice. It's not super hot. It's not super cold. It's just what you would expect in spring, where the trees are starting to get their leaves back. Just it's gorgeous in the spring. There's tons of different things that you can start to do outdoors that you weren't doing because of the snow. However, some of the resorts still have snow far into spring, so you can still keep skiing and snowboarding. I think snowmobiling would be done, but you could start to fish in some of the rivers and upper lakes that you could go to that maybe you wouldn't want to fish during the winter unless you're into ice fishing, which I haven't tried, but that's on my bucket list this year to go ice fishing somewhere and try. Then we can get into summer. So summer starts somewhere around May, June, and you're kind of looking forward to warmer weather so that you can go boating, you can hike, you can fish, you can camp, you can pretty much do everything that Utah has to do in the outdoor space. You'll be able to do during the summer, and summer ends late September-ish. We'll see this year. It wasn't hot at all until this last week where we had 100-degree weather, but I think California got it much, much worse than we did for high temperatures. I think our highest here was like 103, 104, which is really warm, but it's not unbearable. So this was a mild winter, or mild summer, sorry, for the temperature. If you're thinking about making a move here to Utah and you're not sure of where you're looking to be, there's a lot of great cities. I've been starting to do some videos on those different cities, so take a look at those. If you would please, subscribe to my channel. I produce videos weekly. But back to summer. Summer is a great area, like one of the best times of year. Probably my favorite, other than that it's hot, because I get to fish and I get to go jeeping. Love going down to Little Moab or 5 Mile or even to Real Moab, and just take my Jeep out and go on the trails. Then we hit fall, and fall, I would say, is some people's favorite time of year. Just the temperature, it isn't hot. It's starting to get chilly at night. It's cold in the morning, but the changing of the leaves and some of the leaf color here is probably some of the best in the world. There's this section here out in the canyon that people go where they take their holiday photo. The golden leaves are just awesome, and I had a great time out there this last year just seeing the leaves. So make sure that you take advantage of that, and know that it is a little bit cooler, so you will need like a light jacket. It's not freezing cold like you need like a winter coat yet, but that would be my take on the weather here. So we do have all 4 seasons. So if you're looking where you hate all 4 seasons, then Utah might not be the right place for you. Next on my list would be traffic. And traffic here is like hit and miss. So like sometimes I can drive all the way to Salt Lake City from where I am in about 25 minutes. And then sometimes it'll take 45 minutes with traffic. It's not as bad as, say, Texas or California traffic, where it takes you hours to get anywhere. Know that you can probably get from say like Provo, Utah, all the way to Salt Lake in what, an hour usually, maybe a little bit longer, but it's not that bad, but it can be bad. And the since we only have one interstate here, I-15, um, we have lots of people use all the side roads. So if you use Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps and have it direct you the fastest way, usually that's right, but you can find some faster routes that aren't on there. But no, you'll probably be using Bangor Highway and Mountain View Corridor quite often to get around. Um, they're both great. Bangor has much improved since we moved here, and it's only going to get better once they finish some of the other on ramps or overpasses that they're making. Some of the streets are super bad though to travel on, just because there's one route or one or two routes, and everybody goes that way because it may take you 10 or 15 minutes, but to go around would take you longer. So just know traffic can be an issue here. There definitely is not traffic if you go out at 9 or 10 at night. You can, do 80 miles an hour, no problem on the freeway, or, get anywhere you wanted to go. Next on my list would be the affordability factor here in Utah. And while it used to be really affordable to live here, it's gotten worse and worse and worse until, about June of this year, I would say. So know that it's probably been similar in where your case over the last 2 years. The home prices, rents, everything has just skyrocketed. What you used to be able to get a $350,000 home here for is now 500,000-600,000. Everything seems like it's gone up $200,000 to buy your average 3 or 4 bedroom home. You're probably looking at 5, 6, 700,000 now here in Utah. You can find some cheaper ones on the outskirts, or maybe get one that needs some work. But just know that that's probably the average price for homes. Interest rates right now, of course, are hovering right around 6%, 6.5%, 5.5%. They're bouncing all around right now. But now is probably one of the best times we've had in the last 2 years to buy a home, even with the interest rates being higher, because you're able to actually negotiate on the home. You possibly could get seller to pay closing cost money. You could actually just go in and pay a list price and get the home, most likely, where just 6 months ago you were paying $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 over asking price, and you're going to eat up 2 or 3 years of equity just to get back to normal, since you overpaid for the home. And when I say overpaid, it's pretty much what all the homes were doing. So if you were selling your home, you were making that as well. But everything else here is pretty affordable. Gas, I haven't figured out gas yet here, though. Gas here is more expensive than it should be, but I feel by 50 cents to 75 cents a gallon. However, Costco really helps out in that regard. You're even just getting a Costco membership and just using it for gas would save you money. So if you don't shop there for other things, like we buy all our salmon there, and chicken and some other things we'll get at Costco, and we save quite a bit of money doing that. And then I get gas there whenever I need it. They do have something weird here. So it's 85 octane, and then they have 91 octane. So what I'll do sometimes is fill it halfway with one, then fill the other halfway up to get my 87. Or I'll just run 91 for half the tank and then fill up when it's halfway to 85. But you want to check with your car and see if it's okay with 85 octane. So you're going to notice that difference here. I guess the other thing with affordability would just be rent. Rent here is not super cheap anymore. You can rent. There are some apartments that are good, but know that if you're in certain areas with apartments, they add this technology package, which is like $150 a month, and includes your internet, and it includes the doorbell and a keypad to get in your place, which you could get internet cheaper than that, but they bundle it all together. So that's it for affordability. My next thing on the list would be the drivers here. And I thought moving from Tennessee, where I thought they had the worst drivers, I don't know. It's either Utah has definitely made it very, very similar or even worse than their drivers. Like they drive really fast and they do stupid things. I think the first 2 weeks that we moved here, we watched somebody get into an accident where they cut from like the fast lane all the way to the slow lane, lost control of their car, spun in a circle and slammed into the wall, trying to get off the exit where they could just went up and exit and come back. So just things like that. When you have the fast drivers that are driving, a lot of them can at least like maintain their speed and but then you have people that want to drive like 50 miles an hour, or they're 2 lanes over and they want to change lanes and they just change 2 lanes. They don't turn their signal on. They don't look. Overall, just the drivers here are not great drivers. So I don't know what they do to get their driver's license, but they aren't good at all. Next up on my list would be, I guess, the church here. So you've probably heard of the LDS church. So I'm not saying that's a negative or a positive. However, if you belong to the Mormon faith, then that would be a huge plus for you, since there's churches everywhere. Pretty much every subdivision has a church nearby, and there's a gazillion temples around. But there used to have this old stigma where like the kids that were of that church wouldn't play with your kids. However, I haven't seen that be the case since we've been here. Every kid seems to play with another. So I think that that's kind of gone away over the time. You'll notice that they're very friendly people. It's super nice for us because they don't shop on Sunday. So if you go out shopping on Sunday, like the stores are less busy, the roads are less busy, they're busy doing family stuff. And so that works out really good for us. So I actually like Sunday to go out to shop because it makes it way quicker than other days to shop. Just know sometimes when you go to the grocery store on Sunday that they might be out of certain stuff because it got bought on Friday or Saturday. And so you're having to wait till they restock. And that does seem to happen sometimes. Like if we're trying to get a certain type of spaghetti or something like that, they will run out of that. Next on my list, which piggybacks this, is I think Utah has some of the nicest people around. You generally find friendly people here. So I thought, coming from the South Tennessee, that we had friendly people there, but I would say they're just as nice or friendlier here. Everyone's willing to help. And I think it's just a nice thing that you'll run into people like our neighbors are super friendly and they're talkative, and like if I needed something, they're there for me. So one of the times when we ran out of butter, we were able to go next door, and since we already knew they were nice, you just said, hey, can we need a stick of butter because we're trying to make some cookies, and they hooked us up. So the people here are friendly, and if you're not like you don't want to be around friendly people, once again, this might not be the greatest place for you to be. Next on my list is the outdoors, and I touched on that a little bit, but I'll go into more depth now. One of the big reasons that we ended up coming here to Utah was the outdoors. I love to fish. I love to hike now. I didn't think I'd like to hike, but apparently I like to hike. About my last hike was a 4-mile hike, so I'm looking to improve on that. But there's hundreds of places to go here hiking. You have the national places like Bryce Canyon and Zion National Park, and just a ton of places that you can explore here in Utah as far as for outdoor stuff. And some of that requires hiking, some of it is just driving and looking, but you have that stuff. Then you have fishing, and fishing is one of my favorite things to do. So they have little ponds around, and we've been doing that like once a month, twice a month, to go to the pond and catch. They typically stock them with catfish and trout. During the summer, it's more catfish, and then they also will put wiper in there, which I haven't tried to catch yet. We just mainly go for catfish since we really like catfish. trout has been more difficult for us to catch right now. So next year, we're going to put a little more emphasis on catching trout. Then you have boating, and there's I think like 1,000 lakes in Utah that you can go to. So you can boat at a ton of them. Some of them are really big, some are small. But if you're into boating for water skiing or just being pulled by a tube or inner tube or any sort of thing you wanted to do on the water, we have paddle boards. Never owned a paddle board in my life, and now we have 2 paddle boards, and we're getting ready to get a kayak. And we've been going to Deer Creek Reservoir, is the one that we go to. Super nice, and I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks to get in, and then you can put your canopy thing set up at the lake, and then you can paddleboard and stuff on the lake and everything like that. So we've had a great time there. We've probably gone 5 times. We've tried going to one other reservoir, which I can't remember, but it was super windy, so the kids didn't like paddleboarding with it being really windy. And I've heard some of the reservoirs and lakes that are up high will have a lot of wind, so we'll have to look into that for the exploring and going to more lakes. Then you have snow skiing and snowboarding. We have some of what's called the best snow on earth. I think it's because of our dryness here, the way that it creates the snow. Utah and Colorado are probably the best 2 places in the US to ski and snowboard. But from Salt Lake City, you're like 40-45 minutes to a bunch of different resorts: Park City, Solitude and Brighton, Snowbird, Alta, and some others that are close. So I think you can't get much better than that. It's definitely not like when I lived in California and we would go up to Bear Mountain or Snow Summit, and it'd take you an hour and a half to drive up there. And then the snow would be crappy because it'd have like 3 feet of snow, but it was all man-made snow instead of fresh snow. Not sure if I'm leaving anything else out for the outdoors, but there's so many things you can do in the outdoor here in Utah because the weather is amazing, and then it stays light during the summer. The high parts of the summer, it doesn't get dark till like 9 or 10 at night, which is kind of odd. So you have to get used to that as well. But outdoors is number 1 reason why I would move to Utah. If you don't like going outdoor, then you're probably giving up a lot, or maybe you need to try it. Number 8 on my list, liquor laws here. So I'm not a big drinker, but I do know that they have some really strange liquor laws, some of the strictest in the nation here in Utah. They have state-run liquor stores, so if you want to buy anything over 5% alcohol, like beer-wise, you have to go to the state-run store. Otherwise, you can get beer at the grocery store. And I guess this year they just added seltzers and stuff like that, so those can be sold at the grocery store. But if you want wine or Jack Daniels or anything like that, you're going to the state-run store. And I think those are open something like 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if you wanted something at 10 p.m., you're just not going to get it. So plan ahead as far as that goes. Of course, you have to be 21, but that's, I think, a whole US thing. I don't think anywhere except being out in international waters can you drink under the age of 21. You can't ship in wine or alcohol into the state, which I thought was weird. So no wine in the month clubs, as far as I'm aware, you can't do that. The blood alcohol content level, 0.005 here. So it's a little lower than other states, but it's higher than some others. I think it gets you like 2 drinks or something, and then then you would need to not drive, which I think that's about right, depending upon your tolerance. And I think that's about it on the liquor laws. And then my last one is the dry heat here. So it's really dry here, so you're going to constantly want to keep yourself hydrated. You're going to want to apply lotion. There's certain times of the year where your lips get really chapped, so you're going to need to make sure you have like some sort of chapstick or something else for your lips. Just know that sometimes you'll get really itchy because you'll and that's when you need your lotion. Just your skin is dry, and so that it's kind of like a plus and a minus for the dry heat. It's much nicer than humidity, which I'm not a fan of. I would much rather have the dry heat. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I will keep making them. My next video is going to be on like the top 5 cities to live around Salt Lake City. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.